Well, good evening and welcome to this urgent nationwide pro-life webcast. Stop abortion in your state and save babies. You are in the right place at the right time to learn how to defeat and defend against pro-abortion ballot referendums and so much more by way of the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities. I want to welcome you and so many others who are joining us coast to coast all across America. People are coming onto this webcast, and you are in, as I said, the right place. And I want to be the first to officially welcome you. My name is David Bereit, and if we haven't met before, I served as the founder and the former CEO of a pro-life ministry called 40 Days for Life. And today, I'm a broadcaster, a speaker, a strategist, and a leadership mentor. I have been so looking forward to our time together this evening, knowing what you are about to learn and knowing the urgency of the information that we are going to be covering. Like you, we all celebrated on June 24th, 2022, when the United States Supreme Court said, whoops, we previously made a mistake. There was no right to abortion in the Constitution, and they overturned Roe versus Wade. That was a huge victory, and you helped to make that happen, the pro-life generation. But what we realized very quickly was that didn't end abortion. It simply sent the matter of abortion back to you and me, the American people in the states through our elected officials and in Congress. And so far, this 50 state-by-state battle has been going poorly for the pro-life movement. If you were to have a giant scoreboard at a stadium showing the score since the overturn of Roe versus Wade in state elections, we would have abortion industry 7, pro-life movement 0, because we have been losing and losing badly, and something needs to start changing. And tonight is the opportunity to know what we are going to do to start changing things. We all felt the pain, especially those who live in Ohio, but the rest of the nation rallied around Ohio in November of 2023 as the abortion industry rammed through a ballot referendum to enshrine abortion in the state constitution, an egregious piece of legislation that regrettably won and added to their state constitution by a double-digit measure abortion as a so-called right. There are so many lessons that we have learned. Kristan and I and others have talked extensively. We've looked at exit polling data, and we realize that, number one, many people who we thought were our friends voted incorrectly on this ballot initiative, some of it through misinformation, but some of it because we underestimated the cultural work that needs to be done, changing hearts, changing minds. But also, the pro-life movement has not been as effectively organized, doing the proper messaging, and able to win in these state ballot referendums. So we've got to start doing something differently. And why this is so incredibly urgent for us as we gather here on this webcast is because this year of 2024, there are likely going to be 11 more states with ballot referendums to attempt to enshrine abortion in state constitutions. From Florida and Nebraska, Colorado, New York, Arizona, South Dakota, Missouri, Nevada, Maryland, Alaska, Montana. These are the states that they're expected to have ballot initiatives on the ballot in November, and there could be others. But we look at that and say we've got to get better so we don't lose on these fronts, but also in the midst of this, the pro-life movement needs to be better in other areas. We have an amazing network of pregnancy help centers coast to coast, providing support for women in the midst of unexpected pregnancy, walking with them throughout their pregnancies, helping to save children. But people are not fully aware that these pregnancy help centers are there. They don't know the services they have to offer. These centers are not yet overflowing despite the urgent need we have as people continue to seek abortions. The abortion industry is reporting that abortions are actually up nationwide, and there's questionable data in that. But the bottom line is women are at risk more now than ever before. Children are at risk now more than ever before. And we can't sit back and we can't wait for politicians on either side, and yes, that includes the GOP, to do the job for us. They are not the ones to get the pro-life work done. It's up to us. We must advocate We must be the voice for the voiceless. We must speak up for those who cannot speak for themselves, the lives of others at risk. So tonight, you're going to learn what some of these new innovations are. You're going to learn how we can start to turn the tide and how we can take that scoreboard and start to shift the score in the pro-life direction so we can start saving more lives, helping more women, and transforming our culture for life. You'll be learning about tested messaging that is changing hearts and minds tonight. Tonight, you're going to learn proven results that demonstrate we can actually shift culture. We don't have to just sit back and take it. We can proactively make the change that needs to happen. And tonight, you're going to learn your next steps and how the campaign for abortion-free cities is the strategy that will help to defeat and defend against these upcoming egregious ballot referendums. So if your state has an upcoming ballot referendum like what Ohio just went through, this campaign is for you. It will prepare you. It will help you to organize a team. It will help you to mobilize and educate and reach voters. But you may say, David, hey, I'm not in one of those 11 states that you mentioned. If your state doesn't have at the moment a ballot referendum coming, you've got to prepare now because it's going to be eventually coming. And so you've got to build the teams now. You've got to understand the messaging, and there are still hearts and minds that need to be changed, still lives that we need to save in every state. And also, finally, if you're in one of those 4 states that regrettably has passed a ballot referendum, those states, Michigan and California, Vermont and Ohio, it's not too late. Yes, those were heartbreaking defeats, but we still have culture work to do. And you are the one, perhaps, that God is calling to get engaged and do that culture work and serve families in the midst of the fear-mongering of the abortion industry. So tonight, I'm excited to share how you truly can stop abortion in your state through the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities, supporting you in all this incredible work. The expert team at the Pro-Life Generation has been working tirelessly to get our movement heading in a new direction, doing new and innovative things so that we can have the culture change that's so necessary to meet these battles head on. And to help us get started here on this webcast, doing all of that, I have the honor of introducing one of my favorite pro-life leaders, one of my favorite people, one of the hardest working leaders in the entire pro-life movement, my dear friend, Kristan Hawkins. I first met Kristan in the very earliest days when she was taking over the full-time operation and setting it up at Students for Life of America, and we have been colleagues and co-laboring in the harvest field ever since that time, lifelong friends, and we lean on each other, and we learn from each other, and we're constantly talking strategy. How can we do better fighting against this pro-abortion culture? Now, you may know Kristan, as I did for so long, to be the president of Students for Life of America and also of Students for Life Action, your C4. But many people don't yet know that Kristan is also the CEO of the Pro-Life Generation. So Kristan, I want to bring you on. First of all, how are you doing? And then tell us a little more about this Pro-Life Generation.
Well, David, thank you so much. It's so good to see you tonight, even if it's virtually. And thank you for that totally generous introduction. As always, everyone needs a David Bereit in their life. It has been a long, almost 2 years since Roe was reversed, since the Dobbs decision came down, and it's been difficult for the pro-life movement. We've seen numerous attacks from the current presidential administration against pro-lifers, the proliferation of dangerous chemical abortion pills, the attacks on free speech in our college campuses. As you mentioned just now, the betrayal by some of those politicians, elected leaders who always said they were with us but really couldn't do anything while Roe was in existence, and then after Roe said the same thing. And so there's been so much, I feel like, for our pro-life movement to overcome. As you mentioned, I'm not only the president of Students for Life of America and Students for Life Action, I'm also the CEO of Pro-Life Generation. And it might be new, some of you may be hearing that for the first time tonight, but this has been a long time coming. For 18 years, what we've been doing at the Pro-Life Generation and Students for Life America has been building a legacy, building a movement that we knew was going to be the ones ready and able to lead in a post Roe America, understanding that the end of Roe versus Wade was simply not going to be the end of the pro-life movement or our fight and our mission. And as we all have experienced the past year and a half, there's a lot more that we must do to complete our mission of making abortion unthinkable and unavailable in our nation, completely abolishing it from our culture. And that's why we have the pro-life generation. So Students for Life is equipping, empowering young people on campuses, training them to be leaders on their campuses and one day in their communities, at their state legislatures, in Congress. Maybe somebody will run for president of the United States. These young people are incredible. Students for Life Action is taking these young people and getting them to the state houses, to Washington, D.C., to directly demand that our elected officials who pledge to be pro-life stand to be pro-life. But we also have other initiatives and organizations like Standing With You, which is helping transform campuses to be supportive of pregnant and parenting students, really transforming our culture. We had our first piece of federal legislation passed this January, the day before the March for Life in the House of Representatives, a pregnant and parenting student bill of rights, where we're transforming our culture. We're doing research on how to change minds of young people and this entire generation of Americans through our Dimitri Institute of Pro-Life Advancement, which we're actually bringing to bear in the organization we're talking about tonight, which is the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities. All these organizations are working symbiotically together to lead us to an America without abortion. The Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities, the idea of this organization originated from my experience getting involved in the grassroots pro-life movement when I was young, when I was in high school. When I was in high school, we had pro-life organizations, I felt like, everywhere in every community, knocking on doors, preparing folks before elections as to who is going to be on the ballot, what conversations that they needed to pay attention to, talking about the local pregnancy centers and maternity homes. Those organizations are on the front lines, changing minds at the local, fair, county fair, really trying to highlight the issue of the violence of abortion that happens. But what we've seen in the past few decades is younger, as it's gotten younger, we get more digital, right? Young people, honestly, all of us, to be honest with you, prefer rather just to be on our keyboards. But we know from political campaigns, from our work on campuses, that one of the best things that we can do to really transform, to change hearts and minds, and to make that transformation stick, is a one-on-one conversation. We also know from our work on campuses and at state houses and online in our advertising that people don't really care about the issue of abortion. They won't really listen when we talk to them about the violence that Planned Parenthood and the abortion industry commits every day if they don't know we actually care about her or about them. And one of the best ways we can start these conversations to transform people's minds about the violence of abortion is really to lead with how much we do care, how much we do serve, and to highlight all of these amazing resources that not only will get more people in the doors, mothers and families in the doors of pregnancy centers and maternity homes, saving babies, it also helps us convert a whole community. And that's really what we did when we developed the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities. We took all this knowledge, all of these things we've learned in 18 years as an organization, Students for Life and Students for Life Action, and we said, how can we transform communities? How can we take this next step? Because we know this is going to be a marathon in the pro-life movement. It's not a sprint towards victory. And we're really good at that, right? We persevered, we grew, we expanded in the 49 years under the tyranny of Roe versus Wade. That's the one thing when I get interviewed by mainstream reporters all the time, David, they're always amazed as to why we didn't give up during Roe versus Wade? Why because of the defeats that we've seen in some states since Roe's fall, why we haven't given up and thrown in the towel? They don't understand that we can't give up, right? We know the truth about the violence of abortion. We know we can actually help women and families in our communities choose life and transform our culture. We know we have to continue speaking up for the dignity of every human person who is made in the image of our Creator. We can't give up. And that's why we're undeterred. But that's why we've got to get more sophisticated in our cities. We've got to get back to our roots in the pro-life movement, going person to person, educating them about all of the amazing resources we have in the movement, already have, that are there in our communities, operating, saving lives, serving women and families, and then challenging our community members to change their mind, to reconsider the issue of abortion, not listen just to what they saw on Instagram last night or what they saw in a political TV ad the other day, to really think about what they're doing when they say they support abortion, or they're voting for a pro-abortion candidate or a ballot referendum. And that is why we're moving forward, and we're moving forward in a big way with the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities. Now is the time to see this campaign, which has had success, and we're going to be sharing some of that success with you tonight, and to spread it nationwide, because I feel 100% in my core that if we expand the Campaign Abortion-Free Cities, equip thousands of grassroots community leaders across our country to get active, to get on the streets in their cities. 1 year from now, we're going to be looking at a completely different America.
Kristan, I am so excited about this, and having been kind of behind the scenes and seeing this evolve and now seeing it as it takes life, this pro-life generation's Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities, I believe, is trailblazing. And this is something that the entire pro-life movement will want to tap into if they haven't already. And just as a last thought, any comments towards how will this help specifically as it relates to the ballot referendums? Why is it so important at this moment? Why is this campaign so critical more than ever before?
Well, it's absolutely critical because this is a campaign that will help you as a leader fight and defend against ballot referendums by going community to community, block by block, neighbor by neighbor. You're going to be able to change minds. You're going to be able to show America who the pro-life movement is and all that the pro-life movement does. You're going to challenge their presumptions about who pro-lifers are and what we really think, which will then create not only hopefully a broader awareness of our community pregnancy resource centers, maternity homes, which I'm sure Kate and Michele will share with you, is dismal. The level of awareness that's out there. I was shocked by some of these numbers you're going to hear when we started running these tests. Not only are you going to see more clients and more families being served, but you're going to create long-term pro-lifers, pro-life voters, just pro-life Americans in general. And we're using innovative technology to do this. We're taking hundreds of thousands of dollars of research that we've personally conducted, that other organizations that has conducted, to change minds of those, I don't like abortion, but, which is, by the way, the majority of Americans. They're very movable with their issue of abortion. We're also taking to bear things that we've learned at Students for Life Action. Campaign technology that has been previously only ever used for political candidates. We're going to use that campaign technology for the pro-life movement and to create awareness of pregnancy resource centers. So we're doing all that we can to take the most innovative approach, things that have never been tried before in this movement that have worked for other organizations and our leaders, and we're going to change hearts and minds.
Amen. Amen. Well, Kristan, I have one of the many things I've always admired about Students for Life is long before the overturn of Roe, Students for Life and now Pro-Life Generation was a post-Roe organization. Another thing that I've always admired about you and all of the affiliated ministries that are part of Pro-Life Generation is you focus on developing leaders, because you know that it's not just about getting people engaged, it's about developing leaders who can multiply the impact of this. When we look at the threat of these upcoming ballot referendums, knowing these constitutional measures are very hard, not impossible to remove, But it's a whole lot easier to fight it now and stop it now before it becomes part of a state constitution. And developing and deploying leaders is really what's going to happen. And so that's why when you talk about this is a marathon, this is not just a sprint. We will have defeats. We've seen some recently, but we have to keep going. And to help people get started, to help get leaders started, we have some exciting campaign kits that Kate's going to be talking about really soon. So, Kristan, from the bottom of my heart, thank you so much. I've always admired the pro-life generation's ability to see what's needed in the movement right now and then rapidly respond to equip leaders like those who are gathered here on this webcast tonight. And I can't wait to see what great things come from this. So, Kristan, thank you so much. We'll have a word from you at the tail end, but appreciate you sharing on the webcast.
Thank you, David.
Okay. You betcha. You betcha. Okay, next, I want to dive in to talking with Kate. So to explain the how, we know the why. Kristan's covered it behind the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities. Let's dive into now the how. And to do that will be Kate Maloney. She's the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities manager. So Kate, what I would love for you to do is walk us through what the campaign is, like help us to see it and understand it, and the strategy that the pro-life generation has created to support leaders in fighting for and succeeding at achieving an abortion-free future.
Yes. Oh my goodness. Thank you so much, David. Hi, everyone. Like David said, my name is Kate Maloney. I am the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities manager here at the Pro-Life Generation, and I'm so excited and inspired to be with you all tonight and just dive into how we're going to make this happen, because we can, in fact, make this happen. So let's start with the what. What's the mission of the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities? So we exist to strategically reduce abortion in our cities by making abortion unavailable and unthinkable. And we do that by working with leaders like you to create a strategic blueprint plan to eradicate abortion by implementing a holistic strategy. And our vision ultimately is that no woman stands alone and all children are protected from the violence of abortion. So I'm sure a lot of you are sitting here asking, okay, well, who is this campaign for? Where is this campaign going to happen? Which a lot of that has been answered a little bit earlier on, but I just want to kind of drive it even further home, that the campaign was born out of realizing that we need to keep the good work going even after graduation. While students can start a campaign, this is really for all of our pro-life generation alumni leaders that we've been working with for the past 10 plus years, our church leaders, and our community advocates, people listening right now to take ownership of their cities. And then, of course, where? Where can this campaign be? As David has said, this campaign is for everyone, whether your state is facing a ballot referendum or not. Everyone has a next step to do in their community. So I think one of the most unique aspects of our campaign is this holistic strategy that we get to implement at the community level. And to really illustrate that, I'm going to show you our incredible mountain graphic. And so it's exciting because it really is like trying to climb Everest in the most inspiring way to get our campaigns to an abortion-free future goal. And so to even further kind of show you how realistic this is, we love to dream big here, and sometimes looking at a mountain, it can be overwhelming, but I'm going to show you through one of our most successful campaign cities, the Allentown, Pennsylvania campaign, how this can happen and how you can actively work at all 4 critical battle stage levels, and how when you're working in one tier of the mountain, you're also giving into the others, right? It's going to take time, but it's going to be fruitful and it's going to be great. So our first step when we are launching a campaign is we have to find your coalition, right? This is grassroots work, like Kristan talked about. This is gritty work. You have to be that squeaky wheel. And so in order to do that, we have to find our team. We have to find our support. And we want to be united to create that impact in our town. So it's the first thing you want to do, is you want to find your teammates on the ground there. So our first critical battle is supportive services. And we do that by cultivating awareness of the local pregnancy help center. So obviously our big focus with the campaign is to make abortion unavailable and unthinkable. Well, in order to do that, we have to show our communities how unnecessary and how replaceable the abortion industry is. And so in order to do that, we're asking ourselves, okay, how can we spread awareness of the local pregnancy help center? We thought, let's go door to door. And that's the very question that we asked is, do you know where your local pregnancy help center is? Are you even aware of what a local pregnancy help center is? And when we went out and asked this important question, our results showed us that 73% of our neighbors had no idea that a pregnancy help center even existed, didn't even know what it was. So we discovered this huge disparity in our towns, in our cities, nationwide. And we know that the abortion industry is going to try to fill that disparity, fill that gap with their lies. And so we're like, okay, is there a way with our door-to-door strategy that we can further cultivate awareness of a local pregnancy help center? And what we decided to do is that we would pre-survey 100 neighbors and then post-survey those same neighbors. And we discovered that our strategy was effective because overall, not even by 10%, but by 15%, we were able to raise awareness of the local pregnancy help center. We were able to make sure that when someone is experiencing an unplanned pregnancy or is knowing someone who's experiencing unplanned pregnancy, the first thing that they're going to type into their Google isn't Planned Parenthood. It's going to be a local life-affirming pregnancy help center, which is awesome. And so kind of just to showcase that even more, I'm going to talk about a great story from our Allentown campaign. Our community organizer at the time, Anna Guidish, was going door to door, and she was talking about the local pregnancy help centers, spreading awareness, and she met a woman at the door who confided in her that when she was 19 years old, she was sexually assaulted. And Anna was telling her about the resources that are available to young women and young mothers and young families who are experiencing either an unplanned pregnancy or an unplanned pregnancy as a result of sexual assault. And this woman shared with her that if she had known that these resources were available, she would have made a different choice. And she regretted her abortion, and our team was able to provide her with Hope and Healing After Abortion, other after abortion supportive ministries, and was able to connect her. But it just underscores that if people just knew that these places are out there, we'd be living in a different culture, and there'd be a different discussion around abortion. So that's our first critical battle, supportive services. We need to cultivate awareness of the local pregnancy help centers because it saves lives. The second thing that we're doing, our second critical battle, is industry impact. We want to break community trust with the abortion facility. How do we do that? Well, we want to be their competition, right? We want to take their customers away. And so we have a national partnership with Sidewalk Advocates for Life because we know it's important to be at the doors and it's important to be on the sidewalks. And so whenever we start our campaign cities, we always want to make sure we're connected with the local sidewalk advocate. Or if there's no coverage there, we work with our Sidewalk Advocate for Life partnership to make sure that there is one. And so our campaign leader in Allentown worked very closely with the Sidewalk Advocates for Life team there, and they were able to actually have 2 baby saves, and that sidewalk advocacy team is amazing. I mean, they're on fire. There is a secret sauce. I don't know, but they save many lives in front of the Allentown Planned Parenthood. And actually, earlier this year, the Pennsylvania Family Council released a report on the impact of abortion in Pennsylvania. Now, unfortunately, many of these facilities did see an uptick in 2022, but the Allentown Planned Parenthood, which was the target facility of our campaign efforts, decreased by 26%, which is incredible, that's amazing. So it just shows to get united and get active, it really does make that difference. So our third critical battle is effective education. We want to effectively educate our neighbors to shift towards the pro-life position. And some of these tools, which I'm not going to give too much away because our incredible leader, Michele Hendrickson, is really going to go into the marketing and messaging behind the tools that we use. But we obviously have our door-to-door ministry. We utilize market saturation tactics and digital mind-changing ads and quizzes through tried and true messaging. But I'm going to just give you a little sneak peek into how effective our Allentown campaign has been since its launch. They have reached 5,000 neighbors through door-to-door ministry. They've changed 155 minds through door-to-door ministry, tabling, church events, and sidewalk counseling. And then alongside the digital element of their campaign, they have an overall mind change rate of 13% with the online mind changing quizzes, which is so huge, so important, and just so relative to how we are going to cultivate a pro-life culture, how we're going to, again, change the narrative around abortion. And then lastly, our public policy critical battle number 4. We want to enshrine life in law. And so I'm really excited to share this next really impactful story that our team was able to work alongside and achieve in this public policy critical battle. And so in August of 2022, the Allentown City Council attempted to pass 4 extreme pro-abortion ordinances, and they would have severely crippled the pro-life movement in this city. In fact, one of the ordinances would have greatly limited pregnancy help centers organizations' ability to advertise, as they would be cited for deceptive advertising, since they do not offer or refer women for abortion. Another ordinance contained language that would institute a 15-foot buffer zone in front of the Allentown Planned Parenthood, which would have greatly limited the sidewalk advocacy, which has been, like I said earlier, incredibly effective in that community. And so once our team learned that these ordinances were coming to Allentown, we stepped into action. Our leader, again at the time, Anna Geidish, really jumped in. She collaborated so beautifully with the awesome Allentown Coalition on the ground, and we were able to create community petitions. We tabled with the Coalition of the Greater Allentown area at the Allentown State Fair. We were able to have 326 conversations, 48 mind changed, and 300 petition signatures. We held 2 prayer rallies prior to the city council meetings. So when they were going to meet and discuss the ordinances or introduce them, the pro-life movement showed up. They were there every step of the way. We also sent more than 6,000 text messages to the community about the measures that were happening. Our team cold called neighbors, went door to door with information, and hosted a night of action to write letters to the Allentown City Council. We also did a digital element as well. So we did 2 one-click politics pages, one of them urging the city councilors to vote no to these ordinances, and then another one that called out Councilman Joshua Siegel, because during the testifying part of these ordinances, he made comments about post-abortion syndrome not being a real thing. So that's just terrible. But between these 2 online pages, we were able to send a total of 200 emails to the Allentown City Council, which is super effective. And then, of course, testifying, standing up and standing out. I mean, the coalition in the greater Allentown area were just there. The pro-life movement was there. And in fact, some of the most impactful testimonies were of women who had been served by the sidewalk advocates and who had chosen life for their children and saying, you know, my children would not be here without these wonderful advocates. And if you institute this 15-foot buffer zone, you are literally changing lives. So all in all, it was a team effort. And through the partnerships and the passion, in November of 2022, the Allentown City Council indefinitely tabled voting on these pro-abortion ordinances. So that was a victory won. And you all here tonight are invited to do the same incredible work.
Oh my goodness, Kate, that is amazing. And as a friend of mine in Texas would say, if that don't light your fire, then your wood is wet. To have that real life practical example of the difference that a local leader and a campaign can make, changing hearts, changing minds, tabling bad legislation. This is amazing. But I imagine an obstacle here. And I imagine that for some people, they're saying, whoa, door knocking, right? That seems like an intimidating part of the campaign. And so many individuals might feel like I'd clam up or I wouldn't know what to say. I'd be at a loss for words. But I know a secret that they may not yet know. And that's that the geniuses, the great minds over at the pro-life generation have already come up with a solution to that. So part of, in my view, what makes this campaign unique has been the ability to test messaging and not just say what we think we want to say, but to actually test what gets results, right? That's what we're after today. We don't want to keep losing battles. We want to win hearts and minds. We want to win these ballot initiatives and other things. So by testing the messaging, by tracking results, we now know what demonstrates real achievable wins. So this campaign is not just in Allentown. It's been deployed in cities all across the country for these last 3 years in kind of a beta testing mode to work through and improve. And I've personally heard the success of messaging at the doors. But I'd like to get some intel on this messaging and to kind of address this question about what happens at the doors by bringing on our next guest, and that's Michele Hendrickson. And Michele is the director of the Dimitri Institute for Pro-Life Advancement. Michele, I'm excited to have you on, and I would love for you to share what is this secret sauce that geniuses have come up with? What's the market research that the Dimitri Institute has conducted?
I love it. Thank you, David. Thank you just for having me tonight and being able to share the secret sauce. I love that. I'm going to start saying that now. This research is one of my favorite parts of the work that we do here. I don't know if it's because I'm naturally an introvert or just a giant nerd, but I love the research and that it can equip us when we're at the door. Door knocking can be scary, especially if you're not that extroverted person, but to know that the scripts that we use, the messaging that we use, it is all backed up by this research. And it truly is my favorite part because we have to be strategic. We have to be strategic. Yes, this is a ministry and it's service in our communities, but lives are on the line. Lives are on the line. We should want to know that what we're doing, what we're saying is effective. So throughout 2019 and 2022, the Dimitri Institute ran 2 qualitative studies exploring in depth the attitudes of millennial men and women when it came to their position on abortion. We found men and women who identified as in the middle on abortion, and we tested what messages would work to change their mind. So now we're able to use those messages and strategies within the campaign for abortion-free cities as we designed our materials, and then we train our volunteers. So if you're going to start a campaign, if you're going to go out door knocking, we train you in all of these messages and all of the strategies that are going to work. So I won't go into the full results tonight. We don't have time for that. But if you go on our website, instituteforprolifeadvancement.org, if you're a nerd like me and you want to read through all of the research, you can go do that. There's a full report on both of those studies. I'll just start with the top line things and the bad news. So let me start with some bad news, get that out of the way. The pro-life brand is broken. Just as Kristan was saying, and a lot of us knew that one, but really to let it sink in and become aware that that impacts our ministry. It impacts our materials. It impacts the conversations that we're going to have. Throughout the study, it didn't matter what fetal development we showed these men and women. It didn't matter how much we tried to show them the reality and truth behind abortion. Unless we showed care and concern for the mother first, they wouldn't even look at any other message. They clicked away when it was an online message. They shut down when it was a conversation. So that old adage is true. People don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. But there's also good news. So good news is we identified the top performing messages that would get the attention of the person in the middle and win them over and have them stick around long enough for their mind to change. So some of those top messages, and again, you can find these in the studies and throughout our materials. One was called See Her Strength. So we run these ads all over the country and we're saying these messages at the door to see her strength, to be able to show that she does not have to give up her college goals, her career goals in order to be a mother, to parent, or to choose life. And it's the pro-life movement that is right here alongside her to help her realize that. And another message was that abortion hurts. Abortion hurts women. And to be able to show her the risks that are involved and to show that this is a women-centered message, that it is the pro-life movement that empowers women with knowledge of what happens to their bodies during abortion. And those were 2 extremely convincing messages for women. And for men, the message was to be their hero. We really capitalized on that strong natural instinct that men have to just be heroic, to be there for families and to be there for the community. So this idea of being their hero really worked for the men. So we took these results, we embedded them, within the campaign materials, and we'll show those to you. We'll walk you through exactly what you're going to get in your kit if you choose to start a campaign. But even when we're talking about the ballot referendums, it's all about the local pregnancy help center. We want to lead with the free resources available through Standing With You. We must start the conversation there every single time. And I'll admit something live on our Facebook, our live TV tonight. I didn't want that to be true when it came to ballot referendums. I really just wanted to get out there and tell people the truth about the referendum. Hey, did you know this is abortion through all 9 months? That's really what I wanted to be able to do. And we tested that. We tested that in Maryland, where I'm from, where there's a ballot referendum coming up, to be able to have one message that just showed people a fetal development timeline. Hey, do you want abortion through all of this? Do you want abortion through all 9 months? And guess what happened here in Maryland? Door slam, door slam, door slam. Every single time. They didn't want to see it. They didn't want to see any fetal development imagery. They didn't want to start there. And then we tested our tried and true message of let's talk about supportive services for women, and then go into, hey, did you know a ballot referendum's coming up that would support abortion through all 9 months? What do you think about that? And then it worked every single time. Then the door was open for a conversation because we showed them, hey, no matter our opinions on abortion, here are some resources for women. And now we're that trusted neighbor. Now we're that person who is a safe space to have this conversation with. It is so important. Do not write that off. That is the biggest thing that we have learned, to be able to embed this research and this messaging in the campaign.
Michele, this is amazing. And it's such an eye-opener when we started off this webcast talking about we've got to do things differently. We've got to innovate. We've got to do things, if we keep doing what we've always done, we're going to keep getting what we've always gotten. And since the overturn of Roe, that's been a lot of defeat. And as you were talking about really saying, how do we reach those in the middle? As you were talking about identifying the messages that actually work best, not to make us feel good, but to move people toward the pro-life position. And for all of us to understand, it starts by demonstrating that genuine care and concern for the mother first, and lead with those free resources. This is game-changing. And for the person watching, I hope you're taking incredible notes. But Michele, I do have kind of a question that's been on my mind. So this research, from what I understand, these studies were done prior to the reversal of Roe v. Wade. So has anything changed? And also, in light of what we saw in Ohio and other places, is there anything else we've learned? So just bringing this data, this information up to date, overturn of Roe, Ohio, where are we standing with that?
Yes, absolutely. The overturning of Roe showed us how important it truly is to lead with the care of women. It really nailed that down. It showed us how important that was. And when we looked at Ohio and other referendum states, we have to hold true to that messaging. However, one twist that we noticed is we have to also talk about abortion really strongly. Like how do we hold both? The biggest mistakes that we have made in some of these past ballot fights has been not talking about abortion. It has not done us any favors. People then ask, well, how can both be true? How can you just told me not to say the A word at the door, and now I have to say the A word. Like, which is it? And that's where this strategy comes in, and everything that we're able to train you with through the campaign. What we learned from Ohio and other states when it comes to the youth vote, we actually ran another poll. We ran an exit poll in Ohio surrounding areas of college campuses. So this was truly a youth vote reaction. We learned that the majority of those voting against the referendum were motivated by not allowing abortion through all 9 months. That was their number one motivation to vote against it, was, nope, I don't want abortion through all 9 months. The majority of those voting for the referendum were motivated by protecting some abortion. Okay, so if they knew the referendum would allow abortion through all 9 months, maybe they wouldn't have identified with it. Maybe they wouldn't have supported it. But how do we get that message to them? We have to do both. We have to lead with women-centered messages first, and then strongly connect the dots that these referendums support abortion through all 9 months. Once that trust is gained, once that rapport is there, what I've been calling it is make abortion icky again. We have to make abortion icky again. We have to connect the dots for these people. They don't like abortion through all 9 months, but they won't hear us if we don't first lead with our care for women. So we help with all of that. Like Kate said, like we've been saying tonight, we've got materials that have undergone test after test after test. And I am just so excited to finally get these in the hands of our volunteers all across the country.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be amazing to see. It's going to be creating a tsunami. You were talking earlier, we were talking about the momentum that this is going to create. And I feel like as we get this inside scoop on the latest research and the nuances of how it deploys based on what we've learned in Ohio and post the overturn of Roe, I just want to say great job, Michele, to you and the entire team at the Dimitri Institute for pro-life advancements. But let's build to the crescendo, the grand finale, if we will, the campaign kits, where rubber meets the road, where we take all this conceptually and educationally and we put it into action. So we've been hearing about these campaign kits all night. And Kate, I would love to bring you back on. And can you enlighten us and share with us what's available to those who are here tonight, those who are already leaders, those who are maybe don't even know yet that they're leaders, but those who say, I want to make a difference in my city. I want to make a difference in my state. Tell us about the kits.
Yes, the moment everyone has been waiting for. If I could make a drum roll happen, I would. The kits. So the campaign kits. Firstly, there are 2 campaign kits that our leaders will be eligible to receive. There's the supportive service campaign in a box and the ballot referendum response kit. Now, depending on your state, this will determine what I like to call the mission focus of your campaign kit. So let's just go through, firstly, the supportive service campaign in a box and kind of just showcase what the materials look like and what you will receive in the mail. So in this kit, you will receive 200 customizable door hangers, a campaign for abortion-free cities starter guidebook, 1 persuasive pro-life book from our friend Trent Horn, 10 no one stands alone yard signs, 5 standing with you car magnets, 1 awesome abortion-free cities drawstring bag, 30 standing with you info cards / after abortion support topic cards, 10 standing with you community flyers, 5 are you ready pins, these like cute little pins that we made like asking, are you ready? Are you ready to make change? 30 standing with you brochures, 100 standing with you stickers. They're these really cute stickers that have a QR code so you can stick them places and people can scan them and be taken to the Standing With You website. 30 standing with you, what to do if you're experiencing an unplanned pregnancy info card. And then at last, 1 standing with you community advocate t-shirt. So that is everything that you get in this incredible supportive service campaign in a box. The next campaign kit we'll talk about is our ballot referendum response kit. So again, in this kit, you will receive 200 customizable door hangers, 50 community alert information cards, 50 church bulletins, and then 20 sets of ballot referendum response flyers. So there are like 2 different kinds of flyers that we give you. You'll get 10 of each, and then 50 AFC general informational cards just to spread more awareness about the campaign for abortion-free cities. Spread it in your town. Let your town be the catalyst for other towns around you to get started. And then 5 national promotional flyers for the campaign for abortion-free cities. Again, another persuasive pro-life book from Trent Horn to always be working on our apologetics. And then 1 Standing With You community advocate t-shirt. So it's all the resources that you will receive in your kit. Now, with the ballot referendum response kit, there's a very important step that you will need to take in the ordering process to make sure we're following your state laws according to engaging in ballot referendums. Michele, I'm going to pick on you because you live in Maryland, and unfortunately, you do have an upcoming ballot referendum.
Yes, we do.
So, Michele, what you need to do is you need to scroll down on this very page that you're watching live from, and you're going to scroll down and click a button that says, ready to start a campaign, or go to abortionfreecities.org/take action. All right, you'll start a campaign, a form will pop up, you'll fill it out, and then we'll have a free consultation where we can talk about what kind of campaign you'd like to run. Some people want to lead a community team, and others just want to purchase a few things, to try like a one-off event with.
Okay, I'm not sure if I want to lead a whole campaign yet. What if I just want to order the materials? Is that okay?
Yes, it's totally fine and totally understandable. All you would need to do is click the button that says order the full ballot referendum response kit, which will take you to the Pro-Life Gen store to get your materials.
Okay. Oof, but now I've got my materials and they look amazing and everything's working really well. And I actually do want to lead a team. Change my mind. Now what?
I will do a happy dance. I love that. So
okay.
So what you're going to do is just come back to our Take Action page. And we'll meet again so that you can join one of our amazing cohort leadership teams and you'll get all the training and the support that you need along the way.
Okay.
Now, very important disclaimer here. If you are in a ballot referendum state, which you are, Michele, so pay attention, and you've purchased materials, one important note is that you will receive a confirmation note or a confirmation email that you must reply to it because we need another piece of very, very important information from you. So every state has important disclaimers to customize, but don't worry, we'll help you figure that part out.
Okay. What if, it happens. What if I don't get a confirmation email? Sometimes it happens. Who should I contact?
Me.
What if I have issues? Oh.
Me.
Okay.
Well,
that was easy.
You can just email me. I get an email every time a kit order comes through or someone uses our Take Action page. So I've seen that you've signed up. I can reach out for a quick consultation, and then we can review your instructions.
Okay, I don't know. You're making these instructions sound like really intense. What am I getting myself into?
It's not, I promise. We just want to
Okay.
make sure to customize everything according to what state and city you live in. That's what makes
Okay.
everything with this whole campaign so unique, is that our team truly looks into what's best for your community. We hear from you, we learn from you, and we want to make sure we're not sending you generic materials that won't work. So we need that information to put on the materials themselves before we print and ship to you.
Okay, that makes sense. I'm sold.
Awesome. Pleasure doing business with you.
Woo! That was amazing. Kate, Michele, I appreciate so much. Michele, you're going to be so inspired when you get your kit. You are going to want to lead other people. You are going to want to get into action. You are going to spark change in your community. Kate, thank you so much for walking us through this critical step. So here's what's important for every person watching right now, whether you're watching us live here tonight or whether you're watching on our replay video later. You have to do exactly what Kate just walked Michele through. If all you do is just listen and get information that fills your head and you walk away and do nothing, we've wasted your time. The only way that we move the needle, the only way we change that scoreboard, abortion industry 7, pro-life movement 0, the only way we start to shift that is if you and everyone here begins to take that action. So scroll down this page, look at the buttons, click the one that's most appropriate to you, or go to the Abortion Free Cities Take Action page and get started with your campaign kit today. As we close out, as you take this action, I want to say a huge thank you to the team at the Pro-Life Generation. Kristan Hawkins, we'll hear a closing word from in just a moment. Michele Hendrickson, Kate Maloney, thank you all so much. Your team has worked so tirelessly through these past 3 years, and I've watched you work to find what works and what makes a difference, and you've crafted what I see as revolutionary and holistic and research-based campaign that is making a difference in our culture today. This strategy works. And I think those who are on this call, the advocates, the leaders, and those who are just getting started will be able to make a profound difference. If each of us here, all the people joining coast to coast on this webcast, if everybody either joined or started a campaign, we would see a seismic shift in the landscape of America. What is it that even makes a movement, right? We call ourselves the pro-life movement. Well, think back. How did we obtain a victory over Roe versus Wade? It took ordinary, everyday people, our friends, neighbors, students around us, and us, each of us taking action by taking matters into our own hands, not sitting back and waiting for politicians or leaders or organizations to do the work for us. We are willing to roll up our sleeves. We are willing to do the work that's going to shift culture, that's going to save lives, and that's going to solve this crisis in the moment that we are in here in 2024. An abortion-free future in America depends on you. Abortion is still a looming threat. Our work is not done. So be a hero, step up, stand out, and stop abortion in your state. And to end us and send us forth, I'm going to invite back Kristan Hawkins. Kristan, any closing thoughts to rally us into action?
Well, I hope everyone is as excited about the possibilities with the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities as I am. I just loved hearing all the stories of the progress that's been made across our country and in some pretty difficult spaces and places. And just amidst of everything that's going on, the election coming up, all of the news media that's out there trying to, I think, preemptively declare defeat for the pro-life movement, we need to prove to them that that is totally not the case. That momentum is continuing to build throughout the pro-life movement, and it's building right in our communities where abortion is happening. So that's why I'm so excited for what the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities is doing, what Michele and Kate and all the volunteers that are already involved in this. So I'm praying that tonight everyone who's been participating and listening into this webcast will seriously consider joining us at the Campaign for Abortion-Free Cities, of taking that next step to help us make sure this marathon of the pro-life movement, our mission to end abortion, to serve mothers, to serve children, end this violence, continues on by going to abortionfreecities.org. abortionfreecities.org/take action. I know it's already been mentioned, but I'll say it again. abortionfreecities.org/take action, and to get your campaign kit ordered and ready to go for your city for you to begin to engage. I can't wait to look back a year from now, David, and to see the transformation that's taken place across our nation, because so many people raised their hands and took action on this very night.
Amen. Well, you heard it here first. Take action. A year from now, we'll be looking back and celebrating. Thank you very much, Kristan Hawkins. Thank you to the Pro-Life Generation. And thanks to you for joining us on this webcast. Have a great rest of your evening.